Thanks. Morning, everyone. Welcome to the October 7th, 2021 virtual hearing of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. My name is Nicholas Blendy, and I'm the Deputy Executive Secretary for the agency. Just briefly, you can see up on your screen, we have an outline of this slideshow that I'm going to go through, and I'll start doing that. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City uses the Webex platform to conduct its virtual hearings. It's the online meeting platform that all the city agencies use for the same purpose, including the Board of Estimates, City Council, and Planning Department. And this has, of course, been going on since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Some Cisco Webex basics. To fully use the system, members of the public should have access to a laptop, iPad, smartphone, or a similar device with a camera and microphone. And if you don't have a device with both of those capabilities, you may turn your camera on the electronic device and then use a telephone to dial in and be heard through that. And to participate in the Webex meeting, members of the public need to download the Webex app on their smartphone or device and click on the following link to access the hearing online through the web. You can see the access code and the password on the screen. The BLLC suggests that if you are going to use your smartphone, iPad, or similar device, that you download the application at least one day before the date of the October 7th hearing to ensure you have access to the program. And if a member of the general public does not have access to a computer, smartphone, or similar device, they can call the following number and enter the following access code to listen only. And you can see that number and access code at the bottom of the screen. All materials, evidence, and related items for today's docket are available on our website. Copies of the short docket, which provides a brief description of the cases before the board, and the long docket, which includes all application materials, can be found on our website under the hyperlink of today's date, October 7th, 2021. All evidence during virtual hearings, the board observes a 48-hour rule for any submission. All evidence to be considered today is found in the long docket, which is also on our webpage. And all evidence that's on the long docket must have been submitted 48 hours before today's hearing. So that means anything that was submitted on or before 11 a.m. Tuesday, October 5th, 2021 is included and before the board today. Anything submitted thereafter that date and time is not considered timely and is not in the board's before the board today. All evidence should be submitted via email to the board's Assistant Executive Secretary, Ms. Stacy Russell. You can see her email address right there. And the board will not be accepting documents in person. We are virtual. Related items, any amendments to an application made by an applicant or their representatives will not be accepted after September 23rd, 2021 for any case being heard today. If an applicant or a representative does attempt to amend their application after September 23rd, that item will have automatically been postponed or will be postponed. In addition to posting our docket online, all the licensees and applicants before us today were mailed and will be mailed in the future a letter of instruction of the date and time of the virtual hearing. The procedures for today's docket, we are in the I am reading the preliminary instructions and general ground rules for the hearing process portion, calling of the cases. I will then call each case in the order it's listed on today's short docket. When we get to that section, I will then ask for the applicant and his or her representative to identify themselves and have any supporting witnesses sworn in, if applicable. At the case hearing portion, the board will provide an opportunity for the applicant and his or her representative to present the case to the board. The board may ask questions of the attorney or the applicant at that time. Upon the conclusion of the case, the chairman will ask for individuals who are on the call and have access to the necessary technological device if they would like to testify in support or opposition to the specific application before them. If an individual would like to testify, then he or she will have to use the raise your hand feature and be recognized, identify themselves, be sworn in, and then testify. This is a reminder that all individuals who testify are subject to questioning by the board and cross-examination by an attorney or an applicant. And I remind you all, please remember, if you have access to a phone only, you will not have the opportunity to testify because you must have video capabilities for our court reporter to swear you in. After all testimony and evidence is presented to the board will then vote on the application before them. The Assistant Executive Secretary shall then read any of the exhibits offered into the record. A reminder, the board is not authorized to discuss non-case related matters today. Today, the board is sitting in its quasi-judicial capacity and is authorized only to hear testimony and evidence related to the cases that are before it. The board is not authorized to discuss any other cases that aren't on today's docket or any policy matters during today's virtual hearing. Some general ground rules and helpful information. We ask that you please mute yourself when you're not speaking to minimize feedback and extra noise. We ask that you please identify yourself and state the spelling of your name before you speak. We ask that you please speak slowly and in a clear voice so that the court reporter understands exactly what is being said and who is saying it. We note that this event is running live on Charm TV and also that a court reporter is present. Individuals who use profanity, are disrespectful, or unruly may be expelled from today's virtual hearing. All attendees, applicants, licensees, and members of the public that wish to testify, provide testimony during the hearings must be sworn, as I stated before, prior to giving testimony. There will be no physical evidence taken in these proceedings. We are virtual, and absolutely no amendments to the application may be made at the time of the hearing. It will result in an automatic postponement. Some helpful reminders to improve the Webex experience. We ask that everyone be prepared, read the materials ahead of time, test the video conferencing platform as well. And we appreciate those members who are attending in anticipation of being at a virtual hearing to see how this goes. Location matters. Try to find a good space with good light, a quiet space with good light and a strong internet connection so that you can be seen and heard clearly. We ask you please be present. Don't be multitasking so that when the matter comes before you, your matter comes before the board, you are able to join in and be ready with the answers to the questions the board has. And we ask, above all, please be patient with yourself and others. You all watched me deal with a technological glitch, and it's not unfamiliar to us, and we appreciate the patience. And with that, Mr. Chairman, the short docket is up on the screen, and I will note, I guess, two matters. Item number 9, licensee applicant Olatunde Dipeolu, Good Budget LLC, trading as Bellissimo Sport Bar, made an amendment to the application, so has automatically been postponed to a later date. And then item number 5, Krishna Chetri Kalika Enterprises of America LLC, trading as trade name pending, 3800 East Lombard Street, number 13, known as 3872 East Lombard Street, has also been postponed to a later date pending investigation of some legal and factual matters for an upcoming hearing. Mr. Chairman, do you have any opening words?
No, let's proceed.
Then, the first item on today's docket, applicants Ellen Levy, William McLennan, and Susan Owens, Groundwork Kitchen LLC, trading as Groundwork Kitchen. Premises are located at 925 Washington Boulevard, Baltimore, Maryland, 21230. This is an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, restaurant license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article 12-1603 C12, which requires $200,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities, 40% food sales, and a seating capacity for a minimum of 75 people. Counsel on this case is Mr. Stephen Luttrell. I am moving him into the panel, as well as Ellen Levy, who is an applicant licensee, and Bill McLennan, who is an applicant licensee. And Henry, I've been told in the chat that Mr. Luttrell, that Henry Pertman is on with Ellen. So, Mr. Chairman, that everyone should be in the room.
Okay, good morning. Counsel, will you identify yourself for the record, please?
Ellen Preston. Last name Luttrell.
Good morning. So, do you want to proffer for us, or are you going to have your clients testify?
I'll proffer.
Okay, you may proceed.
All right, first I want to thank the board and Mr. Blendy and the board staff for their assistance with the application. And we'll proffer to the factual elements of the license as mentioned by Mr. Blendy. This is a 7-day beer, wine, liquor license. It is a restaurant. The capacity for the restaurant is 120 based on its current seating capacity. We expect restaurant sales, food sales to be well in excess of 40% based on the primary operation of the establishment as a restaurant. And Paul's Place, which is the parent entity of Groundwork Kitchen, has made a capital investment of $340,000 in the fixtures and equipment in the restaurant. Also with us today, I have Henry Pertman, who is the startup manager for the project. I believe he's on with Ms. Levy. And he is alcohol certified and will be managing the restaurant through its transition and opening phase.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the restaurant and what it intends to do?
Certainly. So the restaurant is partially, Groundworks Kitchen is a hybrid of a public service restaurant, but also has a training capacity where it will have several training classes throughout the year, I believe 4, where its goal is to train up to 40 students in restaurant skills so that they can seek employment in the restaurant industry upon graduation. The focus will be on back of the house and front of the house skills, food pricing, and restaurant accounting. And the applicants need to be, I believe, is below 80% of the Baltimore threshold for the poverty line. These students will shadow full-time restaurant staff. But for importance on the alcohol license side, none of the training staff or none of the student staff will have direct access to any alcohol. That'll be managed through a closed cabinet system, and the actual full-time staff will handle all alcohol distribution under the license.
And the staff will all be certified?
We'll have, I believe, a manager, yes, training the staff, yes.
All right, do the commissioners have questions?
No question.
I have one question. I'm sorry, there's a little bit of feedback. Mr. Luttrell, one thing strikes me, which is Miss Levy lives in Reedville, Virginia, which seems, or at least that's what our record says, as she's nodding her head. Where does Miss Levy live?
I live in Baltimore City.
Well, you can't speak yet. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Miss Owens lives in Reedville. She was born and lives in Reedville. Miss Levy lives, I believe, at 32 Elwood in Canton.
My mistake. I misread that. I apologize. No question.
No, that's okay.
Right. Do we have public comment, Mr. Blundy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter before the board, please use the raise your hand feature in the Webex platform. I do not see. Miss Lane, did you want to testify? You don't have to.
I'm sorry, I didn't find the raise your hand feature. So
If you want to testify, let me know, and I have to move you in, and you can be sworn by the court reporter. Do you wish to testify?
yes,
Okay. Then yes, Mr. Chairman, one person.
Okay, let's swear her in.
And please turn your camera on, Miss Lane. You should be able to start video button at the bottom.
there we go. Sorry, I didn't have it on. So, hi, everybody. I'm Kim Lane. I'm with.
No, you need to be sworn in, ma'am.
Oh, sorry.
Please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God, or
I
under
do.
penalty of perjury? Thank
Yes.
All right, Ms. Lane, tell us what you wanted to tell us, please.
Hi, I'm Kim Lane. I'm with Pigtown Main Street. And so we support all the businesses here on Washington Boulevard and community development in the residential area. So I just want to reinforce our letter of support and say that this is a great addition to the neighborhood and the Main Street, and also that we have received great feedback about the training class, and especially that we've received several requests from the neighborhood and people who are in the training class who are very eager for this to get started. And so I just want to I guess, reinforce that the faster the approval for the liquor license happens, the faster that these folks can start their training program. Several who have reached out to us directly, who, can't wait to get started. So, and that's all. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. I agree. It sounds like an excellent program. Hope it works out. All right, Mr. Luttrell, on the basis then of the materials contained in the application and your proffer and the testimony received, I vote to approve this application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license. Commissioners?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, based on the testimony and support letters provided today, I vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license.
It's hard to follow Commissioner Reisinger. He sounds like he's God, the way that reverberated. So we appreciate that. Based upon the application, the proffer from Mr. Luttrell, and the testimony from Ms. Lane, I too would approve the new Class B license. And I also find this to be a very interesting model and applaud the applicants and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
Okay. Well, then thank you, Mr. Luttrell, and your clients, and we do wish you all the best of luck with this.
Oh, and this is the reporter. Do you have the spelling for the last name of Henry? Who was there?
Pertman, Pertman.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Applicants will have received preliminary approval for their new Class B restaurant license and will receive follow-up instructions from this agency via mail on how to physically obtain the issued license. Mr. Chairman, are you ready to move to the next matter?
Yes, sir.
All right, done. They got their liquor license.
You whoever that is, you're still here. Let me move you out. Always remember that there's possibly a hot microphone. There we go. The next matter before the board today, applicant Serdal Uzun and Tammy Lewis, PAM Incorporated, trading as Clubhouse Bar and Liquors. Premises are located at 4217 Erdman Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21213. This is an amended application. I'm sorry, this is an application to transfer ownership of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. It is not amended. It is an application. And Mr. Zun is representing himself and is in the panel, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Zoom. Let's swear him in, please.
Okay.
Mr. Zun, you need to hit the start video thing at the bottom of your screen.
There you go.
Did we lose him?
No.
Oh, no, there he is.
There.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, and would I be able to get the name of the person with Mr. Azun?
Tammy Lewis.
Okay.
The other licensee.
Okay, great. Okay. Should I swear both of them in?
Yeah,
Sure.
Go ahead. Both raise your hand.
Okay. All right. Raise your hands. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Azun, do you want to tell us what your plans are for this tavern?
Yes, actually, I'm working right now at Windsor, and I have been working here for a few years. I do have experience. I am also alcohol certified as well. So basically, I'm taking ownership. I've been working for a while, so I decided it's time for me to actually have my own business and proceed with that.
So you've been working at this location on Urban Avenue for several years? Is that what you said?
No, actually not Urban Avenue. I have been working at a different location at Windsor Inn.
Not this place, but a different tavern. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you're going to take over ownership of this one, and are you familiar with this location?
Yes, I am.
And are you familiar with the community as well?
I have talked to a couple. Actually, the store next door is the metal shop. I know them, and actually they happen to be my neighbors as well. So I have talked to them as well. And I tried to reach out a couple more, but I haven't gotten a response yet.
Okay. And how many people will you employ?
About 7.
And will they all be certified if they're handling alcohol?
Yes.
And are you familiar with our rules and regulations?
Yes, I am.
So this location has a history of violations from 2010 to 17. So you need to be very careful about sales to minors and purchase of your alcohol from wholesalers and all of our other rules and regulations. Do you understand that, sir?
Absolutely.
So you'll need to be IDing people on a regular basis too, in order to make sure that you're not in violation.
Yeah.
Okay. When do you are you open, or when are you planning to open?
No, we are open.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Public comment, Mr. Bundy?
If any member of the public wishes to be heard by the board on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the Webex platform. Mr. Chair, I don't see any member of the public who wishes to testify.
Okay. Mr. Zoom, then, on the basis of the materials contained in this application and your testimony before us this morning, I'm going to vote to approve this application to transfer this BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license to you. And I hope that you'll be very careful in your operation of this tavern. Commissioners?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Commissioners?
Based on the testimony provided today, I vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Nikki, that background, is that me or you?
Based upon the application and the testimony from the applicant, I too would vote to approve the application to transfer ownership.
Ms. Russell?
No exhibits for the record.
So, Mr. Zun, you've been approved. We wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
That concludes this matter before the board. Applicant has received preliminary approval of their application to transfer ownership of this Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and will receive follow-up instructions via U.S. mail on how to legally complete the transfer, which must occur within 180 days of today's date by law. Mr. Chairman, are we ready to move forward?
Yeah, but first, Commissioner Reisinger asked about the reverberations sounds. I think they're emanating from his computer, aren't they?
They are, and I'll just basically have to keep muting him and unmuting him, but I can't figure out a way to get him to stop reverberating despite my best efforts.
All right, so he understands. All right, let's go to the next case.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. The next matter before the board today, applicant Ira Chase Jr., Hoodfellas Kitchen LLC, trading as Hoodfellas Bistro and Catering. Premises are located at 7 North Calvert Street. This is an amended application to transfer ownership and location of a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license presently located at 801 East Fort Avenue to the new proposed premises of 7 North Calvert Street, and requesting off-premises catering. allow me to move Mr. Chase into the panel and his counsel, who is David Mister. They should both be in. Mr. Chair, everyone should be in the room.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mister, will you identify yourself for the record, please?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Associate Commissioners, David F. Mister, Mr. Winter, and Bartlett, representing the applicant, Mr. Chase.
Good morning. Do you want to proffer for us?
Certainly, and I may also have, because I think Mr. Chase is very articulate on this issue, give some supplemental testimony. But if I may, Mr. Chairman, this is an amended application. I think it was originally applied for by Mr. Hurdle for clients to remain at the Ford Avenue location, but for some reasons, business reasons, they weren't able to complete that transfer. We had the opportunity to acquire this license and move it to North Calvert Street. I will first tell you that, the applicant's entity name seems a little unusual, but it's not a gang-related thing. It's actually a reference to he and his fellow owner grew up together in West Baltimore, and they like to let people know that this is an opportunity for minority business people to grow within the community and to make themselves better in the city of Baltimore. They grew up in the White Lot community of West Baltimore. They have an existing catering business. The co-owner, Mr. Thompson, he has prior experiences running the kitchen facilities at Towson University. And as the board may take notice of, that's the second largest university in the state, some 20,000 students. So that obviously was not a simple task and gave him some great experience, certainly in dealing with catering events, et cetera. It's an opportunity for them to add to the business community. I think Mr. Chase would tell you that there is no other alcoholic beverage licensed restaurant within 0.9 miles of this location. You have to go down to the Inner Harbor to find one. The only other restaurants in the immediate vicinity are of a fast food nature, like Subway, and I think there's a Hops Chicken and Wing nearby. This building, you might know, was the Muncie building. Maybe it's still called the Muncie building, and it was an office building originally housed, I think, the precursor of the Baltimore News American newspaper. It sits immediately across the street from the Clarence Mitchell Courthouse and a block from the Courthouse East, which I know the chairman is very familiar with both those locations. It provides an accommodation to not only let me see how many residents there, 149 studio and 1 and 2 bedroom units are now in that building. It's been rehabbed from an office building into residential apartments. So it would be an accommodation to people who are resident there, have a place for fine and casual dining. And it also would be accommodation to those people who work in the courthouses and to jurors. And I'm going to let Mr. Chase talk a little bit about a concept he has, which he thinks would be beneficial to those persons who have to come to the courthouse on a regular basis. Mr. Chase, why don't you be
Before you
sworn
do
in?
that, yeah, we have to swear him in. Thank you.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, to help you God, or under penalty of perjury? Thank you.
I do.
Mr. Chase, tell the board somewhat about your background in the restaurant business, in the catering business, and also this unique concept you have that you think would be attractive to people who come to the courts buildings there.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your time today. So we most recently had a small carryout in West Baltimore, maybe about less than a mile from where we grew up. So we were very happy to open a carryout in our community. That carryout did extremely well. We opened in 2019, and so we kind of had that carryout running during COVID, which did extremely well. With that, we had already been doing outside catering. We did weddings, we did birthday parties, we did specialty events to that degree. And we did so very well that we wanted to upscale that into a restaurant where customers could come down and sit and kind of eat their food. Our carryout was kind of like a Rita's. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like a Rita's ice cream shop, to where you can just kind of walk over to the window, but you can't come inside the carryout. You can't wait inside the carryout. And so that had proven, a bit detrimental to our customers. At this new location where I'm currently sitting right now at 7 North Calvert Street, as Mr. said, it is inside of the historic Muncie building. One of the unique propositions that brought us to this particular location is that it is physically 2.5 miles from our existing location, so we should be able to migrate 70% or so of our existing customer base. Moreover, there are somewhere between 400 to 500 jurors per day between the two courthouses. What we're going to do is we're going to offer a very unique proposition for those jurors. So each juror gets around $15 per day to eat lunch, from the state. And so we will offer a lunch special specific to jurors, where they will be able to have fish and chips, or burger and fries, or a salad, chips and soda for that $15. And that $15 will include taxes. So it will not cost them anything in addition for doing their civic duty. They literally will be able to walk directly across the street, come in, grab the food and carry it out, or sit and eat their food. When I surveyed the area, there is absolutely no location within 0.9 miles, as Mr. said, where a juror can actually leave the courthouse, sit down, eat their food in this type of atmosphere, and get back in that hour time frame for jury duty. So we thought that was a fantastic concept. Moreover, the Baltimore Business Journal just about a month ago reported an article about us specifying that, and it was picked up by WBAL News, and I gave Mr. Misser a copy of it, so I'm sure he can send it to you guys as well.
Mr. Chairman, we have sent that to the board, but we couldn't meet the 48-hour deadline for exhibits. It's going to be included in the board's file, though. Mr. Chase, I understand you're going to have between 8 and 10 employees. Is that correct?
Actually, it'll be more than 8 to 10 employees. It'll be somewhere between 16 and 20 employees, because this is a full service
misheard you. I apologize.
Yeah,
and
that's no problem at all.
And all employees that are going to have anything to do with the service of alcohol or touch alcohol will be alcohol awareness trained certified. Is that correct?
Correct. So my partner, and all the managers are currently going through the alcohol awareness certification now, and everyone else that will touch alcohol, i.e. service, bring alcohol to the table, will be required to have that training.
And you and I have talked about this. You understand by state law and board rule, you have to make sure that you identify any of your prospective customers to be of sufficient age to purchase alcoholic beverages. And you've told me that your policy is going to be everybody, even old geezers like me, will be carded by your servers. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We don't want to be put in a position to where we miss anyone. So just to have it be a habit in our restaurant, every single individual will be carded. Yes, sir.
You are also aware of the law and have a policy against serving anyone who appears to be visibly under the influence of alcohol. Is that not correct?
That is correct, sir.
What will your usual customary hours of operation be?
Our customary hours of operation should be 8 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night, and that will be relatively Monday through Thursday. On Friday and Saturday, we'll stay open a little later, probably till around 12 a.m., but we're going to be serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay, great. All 3 meals. And you, in the board's file, we submitted an exhibit from Adriano Calvanese, who is the senior vice president of the property management company for the Muncie building, in support of this, saying there would be a public accommodation not only to their residents, but also to other persons in the business community there. Lastly, you have been having an ongoing dialogue with representatives of the Downtown Partnership. Is that not true, Mr. Chase?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. I have had constant communications with Claudia Jolin, which is the vice president, and Sam Story, which is the director of finance for the downtown partnership, and I have complete support of them. Actually, Sam came and visited me this morning.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board for Mr. Chase?
Just if he's going to keep talking to the downtown partnership, he should might as well meet Mr. Ackles
Yeah.
formally with
Yes,
us.
sir.
Do the other commissioners have any questions? I do not.
No questions.
No questions.
Do we have members of the public who wish to testify, Mr. Blendy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the Webex platform. Mr. Chairman, I don't see anyone who wishes to testify.
Okay. Mr. You had said that it's the only license in the area. We have granted a license to the man who wants to open Werner's again. And I saw an article that he's planning to do that next month. So you may have some competition, but otherwise we wish your client well.
We certainly didn't mean to misrepresent the board. I guess they're not open yet. Mr. Chase
Yeah.
was auditing those who were there, but we welcome the competition.
Okay. All right. Thank you. On the basis that the materials contained in the application, the proffer from counsel, and the testimony received, as well as the letter of support from the landlord and the information concerning working with Downtown Partnership, I vote to approve this application, the amended application, to transfer ownership and location of this Class D beer, wine, liquor license presently located at 801 East Ford Avenue to its new location at 7 North Calvert Street with off-premises catering. Commissioners?
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Chase for his investment and his business plan. But based on the testimony and support provided today, I vote to approve the amended application to transfer ownership and location of a Class D beer, wine and liquor license, and the request for off-premise catering. Thank you.
Based upon the application, as well as the support from the landlord and the downtown partnership and the testimony from Mr. Chase, I too would vote to approve the transfer of ownership and location of this Class D license presently located at 801 East Fort Avenue to 7 North Calvert Street with off-premise catering.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
Exhibits for the record. Exhibit number 1, letter support for PMC Property Group. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mister, and good luck to you, Mr. Chase.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to the board.
That concludes this matter before the board. Applicant has received preliminary approval for the transfer of ownership and location and off-premises catering of this Class D beer, wine, and liquor license, and will receive follow-up instructions via U.S. mail from this agency on how to legally complete the transfer and obtain the license, which must occur within 180 days of today's hearing by law. Next matter, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
All right, let me move out Mr. Chase. Thank you, Mr. Chase.
Thank you.
And Mr. is counsel, and I am moving Mingjin Zhang into the panel and the other applicant, Chuji Wu, into the panel. Everyone should be in, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Mister, would you identify yourself again, please?
Oh, I guess I have to call the case, don't I? Sorry. Did I call this already? I don't think I did. The next matter before the board, applicant Chuji Wu and Mingjin Zhang, Crafty Crab Inner Harbor Incorporated, trading as Crafty Crab, Baltimore. Premises are located at 44 South Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202. And this is an application to transfer ownership only of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
That's okay. All right, Mister, would you go ahead, please?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Associate Commissioners, David F. Mr. Winter Bartlett, representing the applicants, Chuzi Wu and Minjing Chang, on behalf of Crafty Crab Inner Harbor. The board probably can take notice that this is the location of the venerable Uncle Lee's restaurant that was in Baltimore City and served Asian cuisine to patrons for many years. My clients have acquired both the real estate and by a related entity and the business enterprise there. They're going to convert it to a Crafty Crab franchise, Crafty Crab, similar to some others that are around, is a Cajun seafood style type of restaurant. And they are investing a substantial amount of money here and doing quite a bit of remodeling work on the premises, which I think probably had not been updated for a while. Both Mr. Wu and Mr. Zhang already have experience in the business. As a matter of fact, Mr. Zhang has been operating a Crafty Crab location in Prince George's County, District Heights. Mr. Wu has also been working in the related restaurant business for a substantial period of time. Mr. Wu will be on premises on virtually a daily basis, and Mr. Zhang will be there periodically because he will be splitting his duties between there and District Heights Crafty Crab. They will have a policy and practice that everyone who appears to be less than 35 years of age or thereabouts will be carded to make sure that they are of sufficient age to purchase alcoholic beverages. They will not serve anyone who appears to be visibly under the influence of alcohol. They have told me, this is where I got the 8 to 10. I confused that with my other case, that they will have 8 to 10 employees. All servers will be alcohol awareness trained, as well as managers. Perhaps we can swear in Mr. Zhang just so I can get from him what he expects his regular hours to be.
Okay. Madam Reporter, would you swear him in, please?
You'll need to you'll need to hit start video at the bottom, Mr. Zhang, of your Webex. Not seeing any headway happening here, Mr. Chairman.
Maybe we could try Mr. Wu. Maybe he can turn his video on.
Okay.
I see Mr. Wu. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Wu, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
I swear.
Thank you.
Mr. Wu, would you tell the board what you expect your usual and customary hours of operation to be?
We expect our usual customers operation to be from Sunday to Thursday. We currently operate at 12. We open at 12 at noon and close at 10 o'clock at night. On Fridays and Saturdays, we open from 12 and we close at 11.
And is it correct that, as I've proffered to the board, that you expect to be a full-time operator there at the premises?
That's correct.
Okay, and you are going to have your servers alcohol awareness trained. Is that not correct?
Yes, everyone in the establishment who serves and makes alcoholic beverages will need to be certified.
And just describe a little bit about your cuisine there, what the concept is for Crafty Crab for the board.
Of course. So Crafty Crab serves a specific type of style of seafood, which is Cajun style. We specialize in seafood boil, which is we boil seafood mixed with seasonings, and we serve it in presented in kind of like a balloon style, and customer goes 30 and down with their seafood. Usually they have good time with the seafood, watching a game with the beer. Unfortunately, we don't have liquor license yet, so we can't serve beer at the moment.
Fine. Any questions of the board for either me based upon the proffer or Mr. Wu?
I do not. The other commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
We have people who wish to testify. Mr. Glendy.
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter before the board, please use the raise your hand feature in the Webex platform. I do not see anyone who has raised their hand, Mr. Chair.
Anything further, Mr. Mister?
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman. We ask the board approve the transfer application.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, counsel's proffer and testimony from Mr. Wu, I vote to approve this application to transfer ownership of this Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Commissioner?
Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided today, I vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of the Class B beer, wine, and liquor license.
Based upon the application, the proffer from Mr. as well as the testimony of Mr. Wu, I too would vote to approve the application to transfer ownership.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
Exhibits for the record.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. and good luck, Mr. Wu, and your partner. Hope this goes well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
That concludes this matter before the board. Applicant has received preliminary approval for their application to transfer ownership of a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Applicants will receive follow-up instructions via U.S. mail from this agency on how to legally complete the transfer and obtain their license, which must occur within 180 days of today's date by law. Mr. Chairman, are we ready to move forward?
Yeah.
All right. The next matter on the docket, as stated at the outset, has been postponed to a future virtual hearing date of the board. Then moving on to item number 6 on the docket, Mr. Chairman. This matter is applicant James Kwangyul Jun, Rajvinder Kaur Hunjan, and Babita Lashkari, Best RVB Incorporated, trading as Ori's Liquors. Premises are located at 1001 East 25th Street, 21218, Baltimore, Maryland. And this is an application to transfer ownership only of a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license. Mr. Fogelman, I believe, is counsel and has been moved in.
Hey, good morning. Would you identify yourself for the record, please?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Excellent. Just doing some technical tasks here. Can you see and hear me?
Yes,
And you can see my clients in the split screen?
we can.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Stephen Fogelman on behalf of the applicants. I'd like to have them sworn, but I may be able to proceed by way of proffer.
Who are the two who are with you?
The two are with me are applicant B and C. To your right on the screen is Ms. Hunjan, and on the left is Ms. Lashkari.
Madam
And
Recorder.
the city resident, the applicant A, is currently on this license, has been on this license for a couple of years, and just serves as a city resident, so he is not present today.
Okay. Let's swear these ladies, please.
Thank you.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And can you,
sorry.
I didn't hear both of them, sorry. And would you be able to state your name before your response?
So say your name and then say yes.
Babita Lashkari, yes. Rajvinder Kaur Hunjan, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. You may proceed, Mr. Fogelman.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This is a woman, female-owned business. Ms. Lashkari has been in the alcohol business in the past in Wilmington, Delaware, at Fitzharris Liquors, just on the other side of this 10-year financial form. She spent 3 years there, understands ID policies, understands any issues with loitering or any other issues that go on with an off-premises license. Ms. Hunjan does not have retail alcohol management experience, but is in a process of being certified. Both of them, and this is interesting. Here we are in Baltimore, but if you know people who live in Delaware, they drive for a living. They drive to Philly. They drive to Baltimore. And these applicants are going to be at the shop. Ms. Hunjan plans to be at the shop at least 20 hours a week. Ms. Lashkari will be at the shop 40 to 48 hours a week. Additionally, because of that distance, if you'll look at the breakdown of ownership, there's a Galt Sever Doke who currently lives in Wilmington. He's a 5% owner, but he is relocating to Baltimore City with his family in order to be a point of contact in the case of an emergency. So the applicant, like I say, Mr. Kwang Chul Jun, already on this license previously has been vetted by this board. This bar or this liquor store has very good reputation around. If you know the location, it's a little bit of industrial. It's a lot of industrial, quite frankly. So there are some homes behind Ori's Liquors, the shop, but there's never been any problem that this establishment has caused, to the best of my knowledge. Furthermore, Ms. Lashkari and Ms. Munjan have reached out to the neighbor next door. It's a commercial neighbor at 1101 East 25th Street, and it's called the Corner Team Boxing and Fitness Club. And they are prepared to support them. They like their mission. They help a lot of youth in the area learn fitness and boxing. And so they look forward to supporting them and other endeavors in their area.
So will everyone who handles alcohol be certified?
That is correct. Their ID policy will be to card everyone who is trying to purchase an alcoholic beverage. And I'll be happy to open it up for questions to the applicants if you so desire.
Are they familiar with their rules and regulations, Mr.
Yes, they are. And particularly, I've explained to them, 100% compliance, and they understand the grave consequences for selling to minors. And we'll avoid that by a 100% ID check policy.
And just so I understand, they're going to drive from Newark, Delaware to Baltimore and back every day?
Yes, that is the plan. Now, of course, they're closed Sunday, so they will get one day off.
Well, I hope they can figure out a better way when you get down to Aberdeen, when the traffic stops.
That work zone is a nightmare right now. I agree.
It's that is an absolute nightmare. I wish them luck. I don't have any other questions. Do the commissioners?
No question.
No questions.
We have public comment, Mr. Bundy.
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature on the Webex platform. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any member of the public who wishes to testify, nor do I see the MDOT secretary in the room.
Okay. Fogelman, do you have anything further?
No, thank you very much, Your Honor. Thank you, commissioners.
Okay. On the basis and the materials contained in the application, the proffer from Mr. Fogelman and any testimony received, I vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of this Class A beer, wine, and liquor license. Commissioner?
Based on the testimony provided today, I vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license.
And based upon the application, the proffer from Mr. Fogelman, I too would vote to approve the transfer of ownership.
Thank you.
No exhibits for the record.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fogelman. Good luck to these folks.
Thank you all.
That concludes this matter before the board today. Applicants have received preliminary approval from the board on their request to transfer ownership of this Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, and will receive follow-up instructions via U.S. mail on how to complete the legal transfer, which must occur within 180 days of today's date by law. Mr. Chairman, are we ready to move forward?
We are.
Mr. Fogelman, I believe, is counsel again on the next matter, which is applicant Robert Tudlewski, GEGE LLC, trading as Little Donna's. Premises are located at 1810 to 12 Bank Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21231. And this is an application to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service of a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license.
Counsel?
Tutluski. You can see Mr. Tutluski and I, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. I think we can do this one by way of a proffer.
Okay.
It's
Go ahead.
lunchtime, and I hate to do this to you at lunchtime, talk about food. Mr. Tutluski is born in Indiana. He has worked all over the United States as a chef, as an executive chef. He's managed more than 100 employees. I'll be happy if you want to swear him in to tell you. The financial form only goes back 10 years, but Mr. Tutlewski's been in the business since 2003. He's an executive chef in Washington most recently. He was an executive chef in in Phoenix, Arizona. Mr. Tutlewski and his wife have purchased the building at Bank Street, and Mr. Tutlewski is going to be the full-time operator, owner, and manager of the establishment. The establishment, formerly known as Henninger's, which has been a jewel, a treasure of Upper Fells in Southeast Baltimore for many, many years. Owner Jane Veith, licensee Jane Veith, the transferor, wants to retire. Mr. Tutlewski's had some articles written about him in the Baltimore Business Journal and other outlets. The neighbors are excited. They're maybe maudlin because Henninger's is such a special place. Most of the building is going to look the same, eclectic, beautiful, truly Upper Fells style. Mr. Tutlewski is going to add some menu items, specifically gourmet pizzas in a brick oven. And he's going to have, as a nod to the community and as a nod to his own roots, quite a bit of Polish specialties, including house-made pierogies, full Polish platters, sausages, and even Polish dumpling soup. So he, as a restaurant and food-centric, for now, he's not even looking to stay open till midnight, as far as I understand. It's an operation that's going to shut down a little after 10 o'clock. So that may change, and obviously his hours with this D-license, he will comply with all laws. He will be alcohol management certified, as well as his servers. He also will implement, and it even told me when we were waiting for the hearing, that when he supervised over 100 employees, that the easiest policy of all is to card everyone. He's going to familiarize himself with the rules and regulations and looks forward to serving the Upper Fells and greater community here in Charm City for years to come.
Thank you. Commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
And I did throw a menu in to evidence on Tuesday, so
Yes.
I hope you'll take a look at that. Thanks so much.
Do we have public comment, Mr. Blendy?
If any member of the public wishes to be heard on this matter before the board, please use the raise your hand feature in the Webex platform. Mr. Chairman, I do not see anyone who wishes to testify.
Okay. Well, Mr. Fogelman, it's been a long time since I've been at Henninger's, but it was a delightful place. I hope it continues that way under this new ownership. On the basis of the material contained in the application and your proffer and the exhibits submitted, including the menu and photos, et cetera, I'd vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of this Class D beer, wine, and liquor license with continued outdoor table service. Commissioners?
Based on the testimony provided today, I vote to approve the application to transfer ownership of a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license and to continuation of the outdoor table service.
Thank you.
Based upon the application and the proffer for Mr. Fogelman, I too would vote to approve the transfer of ownership with continuation of outdoor table service.
Thank you.
Russell?
Mike Kozitis for the record, Board Exhibit number 1, menu.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fogelman. Good luck to your client. I hope this goes well.
Great. Have a great day. Thank you all.
That concludes this matter before the board today. Applicant has received preliminary approval for their request to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service of this Class D beer, wine, and liquor license, and will receive follow-up instructions in writing via U.S. mail from this agency on how to legally complete the transfer, which must occur within 180 days of today's hearing by law. Mr. Chair, are we ready for the next matter?
We are.
The next matter on today's docket, these are current licensees Pavel Garcia Villalobos and Micheli Del Valle Melendez, PPI Tavern Incorporated, trading as PPI Tavern. Premises are located at 500 South Lehigh Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. This is a request to add live entertainment and to expand the premises to include a second floor with a second floor rear deck of a existing Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license at this property. Sean Harvey is counsel for this case, and I have two versions of him here, so I may have to kill one of them to not get an echo. But Mr. Harvey, you are in the panel and should please hit the start video feature at the bottom.
You hear me, Mr. Blundy?
I can. You have to hit start video for.
Well, the problem is my computer just.
Okay.
I can hear you, but I can't see you any longer.
Okay.
So, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Would you identify yourself for the record, please, Mr.
Yes,
Harvey?
I'm sorry. Sean Harvey, 309 South Conkling Street, Baltimore 21224. I'm the attorney for the applicants, Pablo Garcia Villalobos and Misha Melendez.
And do you want to tell us about what their plans are on this live entertainment and expansion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to proffer, if you don't mind. And I'm getting a terrible echo, but in any event, Mr. Garcia Villalobos and Ms. Melendez have operated this tavern since September 2020, and they've done it rather successfully. I don't know if the board recalls, but this was rather a problem bar prior to their taking over this business. He's done, Mr. Villalobos has done extensive remodeling in the interior and on the exterior. It's a very nice looking tavern. He wants to enhance the experience for his customers and provide live entertainment. And he also wants to expand the business. Can you hear me still?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not getting the echo any longer. But in any event, this building is it's in Greektown, Highlandtown. It's just on the other side of the underpass on the southeast side of Eastern Avenue, and it's a two-story building. The building, the license that is, provides for currently for business only on the first floor with basement storage. What the applicants are seeking is to open up the second floor for business and also to construct an outdoor deck, a rear deck. And in that regard, they applied for a use and occupancy permit as is required before you submit an application to the liquor board. And of course, the use and occupancy zoning folks said that it has to go through the BMZA for approval. So in July 13th, as a matter of fact, there was a public hearing before the BMZA, and both the construction of the outdoor deck and the conditional use for live entertainment were approved. The conditions were that the live entertainment not be conducted on the rear deck, the new rear deck, and not be broadcast there, and that copies of the resolution that was signed by the BMZA on July 15th be kept on the premises for inspection by any employees or officials from Baltimore City. The application that was submitted to the board contained a floor plan, which Mr. Villalobos had an architect prepare. It shows the deck, and there's also a trellis and also an emergency stairway down to the sidewalk near Eastern Avenue. It's an emergency exit. It's not for access, just egress. I'd like to offer into evidence that architectural drawings that was part of the original application. I also included a copy of the BMCA resolution dated July 15th, 2021 as part of the application. I'd like that also offered into evidence in support of this application. Also, on October 1st, I submitted to the board by email a petition in support of this application. It contains signatures on 10 different pages in support of this application. I'd like to offer that into evidence. Again, it was emailed on October 1st. Also, at that time, I submitted a letter in support from the Greektown Neighborhood Association. They have endorsed this project, and so I'd like to offer those into evidence as well. And I'd open it up to the board for questions.
Okay, all those exhibits will be received in evidence. What's the nature of the live entertainment that they're going to have there?
The set in the application for live musicians, but also karaoke, and of course they also are asking for the authority to have dancing. And I will say that Mr. Villalobos, in anticipation of this, when he did his remodeling, he did soundproof this building, so there should be no ill effects to anyone in the immediate neighborhood.
And they're aware of the conditions imposed by BMZA, and they're going to abide by them?
Yes, they fully accept all of those conditions. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Do we have public comment on this case, Mr. Blendy?
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter before the board, please use the raise your hand feature in the Webex platform. I see no one who wishes to testify, Mr. Chair.
All right, Mr. Harvey, on the basis of the materials contained in the application, as well as the exhibits that you submitted thereafter, on the basis of your extensive proffer, and with the approval of the BMZA, I vote to add to this BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license a authorization for live entertainment, expanded premises to include second floor with second floor rear deck. Commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the testimony of and the petition of support and the letter of support provided today, I vote to approve the request to add live entertainment and expand premise to include a second floor with the second floor rear deck.
Based upon the application, the proffer from Mr. Harvey, the approval of the BMZA, and the petition of support, I too would vote to add live entertainment and expand the premises to include the second floor with second floor rear deck.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
I'd call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Greektown Neighborhood Association. Board Exhibit 2, BMZA resolution. And Board Exhibit 3, petition of support.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harvey, and good luck to your clients.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That concludes this matter before the board today. Applicants have received preliminary approval in their request to add live entertainment and expanded premises to include second floor with second floor rear deck of their Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and will receive follow-up instructions in writing from this agency on how to legally complete whatever is necessary to have their license issued to include these matters. That next matter, Mr. Chairman, as stated at the outset, was automatically postponed for an amended application to a future date. So that should conclude all the matters before the board today.
That's fine. You want to read the adjournment then, please?
Yes, sir. The board will be in recess until Thursday, October 14th, 2021. The board shall post on its website and provide notice to applicants and/or attorneys and conduct a virtual hearing on this date. Please call our office at 410-396-4377 between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. with any questions you may have on this matter or any other matter. That is all I have for the board, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So thanks again to all the commissioners and the liquor board staff for all the work on today's docket and for all those who participated, and best of luck to these new licensees. And we will see you next Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Off the record.